Today, we are gonna dive into a mystery. Two hit Vocaloid songs in 2009, Minato's Magnet and Dixie Flatline's Just Be Friends, were mysteriously removed by their creators, vanished off the internet. How did this happen? We need to go back a bit further to 2010. In the digital era, copyright has always been a very key topic of discussion in the creative industry. From music to literature, film to art, the blurred lines between using an art for inspiration and just blatant copying makes it very easy for allegations for plagiarism to pop up, and the Vocaloid scene is no exception. In this video, we will discuss the YunomiP Incident, where a very prominent Vocaloid illustrator was caught plagiarizing, which sent massive shockwaves across the community. In the very early days of Vocaloid, back when people only used that horrible site called Nico Nico, there was a very prominent illustrator and PV artist called YunomiP. While her real name and true identity were unknown before the incident, she started out in 2008, releasing a parody music video for Company. Her very high quality work at that time has attracted a lot of attention. As such, fast forward 6 months later, in August of 2008, she was invited to be the illustrator for one of Signal P's songs. The PV was simply amazing and ahead of its time. Then, her work simply just came flying in. In 2009, she worked on the cover art for the super hit song Magnet by Minato, a very forward-thinking song which discusses female homosexuality, as well as the PV art for Just Be Friends, another classic hit song by Luca, which features a heartbreaking story of a couple who realized that their relationship was falling apart. She also worked on the cover art of the album Toy Box by Jimmy Thumb or One Room, as well as the PV for Marigold by Buzz G, and one color art page for Morphe's upcoming fiction Aku no Musume. The list goes on and on and on and on, all of which are major hit songs, and many of which are among the Hall of Legend. Being such a huge figure in the Vocaloid community, it seems natural that she would rise up to the big waves with Hatsune Miku shooting up to big fame. Indeed, she worked on Hatsune Miku's Project Diva 2nd, and she was about to release her first ever illustration art book, Find Her, in collaboration with Fukawa. Yet nowadays, she has vanished from the Vocaloid scene, and pretty much nobody heard of her. What happened? Fast forward to 2010, things were going smooth for YunomiP. As one of the big names in Vocaloid world, every producer out there is scrambling to work with her. But on this fateful day on July 30th, 2010, some people started to be more suspicious of her work. Or should I say, they're a bit sus. They suspect that some of her work might not be original, in particular her most popular work, Magnet. People have found out that she has used a technique called art tracing, using this stock image on the website ImageNavi. What the hell is a tracing? It is defined as copying the composition and structure of a work with minor alteration with the intent of claiming the product as your own. Her cover art was also found to be quite similar with the cover of another Gundam show. So at first people were like, well, I don't know about this, it's just a single incident, could be just simple referencing. Nonetheless, people started to dig out her work like a lone baby zebra among herds of hungry lions. The real bombshell was Just Be Friends, another one of YunomiP's major work. The entire PV was filled with stock images and copyrighted material. First, you have simple poses for referencing. Well, not a big deal, but then there was some very obvious tracing involved, like what she did with Magnet. Finally, she was found outright using the stock images directly in the PV. Backgrounds on a train, sunflowers, television, classroom background, even her finger. More fingers, what the f***? The sky, the paper airplane, sakura petals, guitar, the list goes on and on and on. And so, the fire was ignited. On the forums, they began to take out more of her Ctrl-C's and Ctrl-V's, which makes it obvious that she has been doing this for a very long time. Project Diva 2nd's illustration, flowers, the CD jacket for Toy Box, art for the fiction Aku no Musume. The list goes on and on. While some could be argued as just referencing, but with a scale like this, she can hardly defend herself. And honestly, I have no idea how people find this stuff. It's not like they had Google Lens back in 2010. Like, how do they even find the balloons, the poses, and in this picture, background sunset, even the f***ing bicycle. and the bag like, what the actual guys? These guys should actually use their talent to find the big fruit or the creator of Bitcoin or something like that. Obviously, it was not an issue for an artist to use stuff on the internet. As a creator myself, I also use some Creative Commons footages on the internet, like my last Oshinoko video, where most of the idol dance footages are licensed under Creative Commons, which is free to use and freely distributed. However, for YunomiP's case, she had been using stock images, which is not free to use. It requires the user to pay a subscription fee or a one-time fee. Seeing how many stock images she used in the Just Be Friends PV, it would be quite a substantial amount of money. The sky, for example, cost 16,000 yen or 33,000 yen for the full-size picture. Moreover, some sites have a no modification rule, which means the user cannot crop the images or modify it in any way. As more and more of her illustrations began to float onto the surface, it became the biggest topic on the Japanese internet at that time. In order to calm the waves, on August 2nd, 2010, YunomiP posted an apology on the blog, basically acknowledging her fault and admitting her mistakes. "I know that my past work have caused problems, so I offer my apologies," she stated. "I would take full responsibility and decided to refrain from future activities." There was a perfect scene in the recent episode in the hit anime series Oshinoko, explaining what a bad idea this was.
人は謝ってる人に群がるんだよ。謝ってるってことは悪いことをしたって認めたんでしょ。悪いことをしたなら石を投げていいよね。そんな風に。炎上対策としては下の下なんだよ。
Basically, by apologizing, it did nothing but add more oil to the fire. This time, the fire has spread towards the producers and companies who had collaborated with YunomiP. First, the most affected was the producer of Magnet, Minato P, who had worked with YunomiP more than once. He was forced to apologize for something that wasn't really his fault, and then he removed the video of Magnet on Nico Nico Doga. The same goes for Dixie Flatline, who apologized and took down Just Be Friends. As a result, both of these super popular songs were removed and deleted around the same time, never to be seen again for a very long time. Signal P also apologized for her work. As for Morphe's fiction, he had managed to set up a special arrangement for copyright holders, so the sale of the fiction was not affected. There were many more others affected, such as her upcoming art book, and even karaoke companies withdrawing the songs she had worked on. On September 7, 2010, YunomiP deleted her TweetPic account. On the same day, an old personal blog of her around 2005 was dug out by users, which revealed many personal information of her. 2 days later, YunomiP withdrew from Nico Nico Doga and vanished off the internet. The issue of plagiarism has infected every creative industry since its very beginning. There had been many accusations and incidents popping out no matter which country you are in. Nowadays, AI tools like Stable Diffusion and ChatGPT has worried many artists that their work will be easily taken and used as a reference without proper attribution, potentially diluting the value of their original creations. It's just a never-ending argument on what really counts as copyright infringement. Back to the incident, as YunomiP gradually retired from the online world, the incident began to die down. It was only till 2014, 4 years after the incident, where Just Be Friends were released to the public once again. As for Magnet, it was finally reinstated in 2018, 8 years after the incident. Despite all the troubles that YunomiP has rained upon others, the producer of Just Be Friends, Dixie Flatline, dedicated the afterwards of Just Be Friends light novel adaptation to YunomiP. He wrote, "Despite all the challenges, the sensation that I experienced when you first showed me the animation will never change, no matter how many years have gone by." And that's the end of the cautionary tale of YunomiP. Thanks for watching.